All right, Khan Academy, graph from linear standard form. This is one of the tougher equations that they can give you to graph. So requires a little bit more work than slope-intercept. So, there's a couple different ways I'm going to show you how to do it. The first way is I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to try to rewrite this equation in y equals mx plus b form. Because if I can do that, I can see what the slope is, I can see what the y-intercept is, and it's much easier to graph when you can see those two things. Common mistake kids make is they're like, oh, the slope is a number in front of the x. And then they think right there that that 3 is the slope, when really, in fact, it's not. So a couple things just in general about standard form are, the big idea is you want x and y on the same side. So, for instance, like this one right here, 2x minus 5y. Notice x and y are both on the same side. There are some textbooks that require there to be like no common factors. So for instance, let's say that you have an equation like 4x plus 6y equals 10. Well, some people would say, hey, you can't leave it like that because you can divide everybody by 2. If you divide this whole equation by 2 and shrink it down, they would say that this is standard form. And they're probably right. Khan Academy is not going to care, so you can leave it either way. Khan Academy also will let you put decimals in there, which a lot of traditional textbooks don't. And some textbooks require that this front term, the A term, be positive. And Khan Academy doesn't care. So they're really actually pretty loose when it comes to standard form. So let's go ahead and let's get after it and let's do one. So 3x minus 5y equals 10. And what I need to do is to get y all by itself, your first step is always going to be to get rid of the x term, to move it to the other side. So I'm going to minus that 3x from both sides, which is going to give me negative 5y equals, and now I could put 10 minus 3x, but I'm going to put the negative 3x in front and the positive 10 at the back because I'd like my x term in the front like slope-intercept form. Next thing I need to do is I need to get rid of the minus 5, so I'm going to divide by 5. I had a lot of kids in class trying to plus 5. This is not subtraction, it's multiplication, so you need to divide by a negative 5. So now I end up with y equals, be careful here, a negative divided by a negative is going to make that a positive 3/5 x. And then positive 10 divided by a negative 5 is a negative 2. Well, now it's much easier to graph because I have my y-intercept, which I can put on the graph. That's my starting point. And now since my slope is positive, I'm going to be increasing from left to right. And the 3 is my vertical direction, and the 5 is my horizontal direction. So I'm going to go up 3 over 5, and that line is going to live right there. So that's one way. So this way is just kind of referred to as rewrite it in slope-intercept form, aka solve for y. Now, another method, and this works really well if the numbers are friendly. Another method is using the intercepts. So I'm going to kind of show you method number 2 is going to be to find the x and the y intercepts. And we did this on an earlier lesson in Khan Academy. And this works really well when both of these numbers, okay, in standard form, they call this A and this B and that number C. If A and B can both go into C, then the intercepts are going to work really nice. And 3 and 4 both can go into negative 12. So this is a perfect situation to use this method. So let's find the x-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, we need to let y equal 0. So I start to write the equation, 3x plus 4 times 0 is negative 12, which basically the y term just disappears. And we divide both sides by 3, and we get x equals negative 4. So I found the x-intercept. It's at negative 4, and we let y equal 0. So that's right over here. Left 4, up none. Well, then when I do the y-intercept, to find the y-intercept, we let x equal 0. So I'm going to have 3 times, now the x term is going to disappear. And we just end up with 4y equals negative 12. Divide by 4, divide by 4. And we have y is negative 3. So our y-intercept is negative 3. We let x equal 0. And that's going to occur right here. And there we go. We have our line coming down. Now, something you might want to notice, there is a shortcut on all of these problems. And the shortcut I'm going to kind of highlight on this last example. So let's just kind of go to this last example. And this one we could use intercepts if we wanted to, because this is a 1, and 1 and negative 3 both go into 9. So we could use the intercepts. It might be quicker, or we could rewrite it. But a little shortcut to give you here is, because anytime the equation's in ax plus by equals c, anytime you want to solve that, you're going to minus that term to the other side, which is going to leave you this. And then you're going to always divide by what's in front of y, which is that. And that kind of gives us a shortcut. And the shortcut is the slope is always opposite the a term. If it's negative, you do positive. If it's positive, you do negative, over the b term. And then the y-intercept is always going to be the c over b. So kind of using that fact here, when I look at this equation setup, it looks like our a is 1, our b is negative 3, and our c is 9. So once you get good at this, you can kind of use the shortcut and say, all right, the slope is just opposite of a over b. Whoop, I want to actually write the number in there. Opposite of a over b, which is negative 3. So that means our slope is 1/3. And then the y-intercept is just going to be c over b, which is 9 over negative 3, or negative 3. So now I have the y-intercept, I have my slope. I could just graph it from there. Y-intercept, slope says positive 1/3. So positive 1/3 means I'm going up 1 over 3. So up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3. Go back the other way. So actually I give you 3 methods. I give you solve for y, I give you find the intercepts, or I give you the shortcut using the a, b, and c numbers.